So this is played out of Parks Casino outside of Philadelphia.
Yep. Get a lot of those
It's
calls from
10,
Parks.
yeah,
Yep.
10-10 no limit,
Hmm.
and this game plays eight-handed.
Okay.
So it folds to the cutoff.
What are
Heroes in the
the
cutoff
effective
with,
stacks, by the way?
yep, sure. Hero covers, the low jack has 860,
Hmm.
and the small blind has 1340.
Okay.
Okay, sorry. So the low jack raises to 40,
Is that the standard open in this game?
either 30 or 40. It's
Okay.
like 50-50 split.
Yep.
Hero is in the cutoff with ace of spades, king of spades, and three bets to 120.
Okay.
The small blind cold calls,
Okay.
and the low jack calls.
I did see a lot of that on, well, I saw a lot of cold calling on Friday night for a game that big, but then there was a lot of cold calling in the game I played, the ante game on Thursday, too. A lot of cold calling. Saw that hand where Zio had nines and I had queens, and I polared the end. And I actually thought I was going to get called. He actually took a long time with it. There was a lot of cold calling to three bets. I don't know how often there is here in this game, but already we're a little bit off the rails here, right?
Yeah, you see a good amount of it. I would say that I haven't played with either of these players too much, but both are pretty weak passive. So,
Okay. So right around 370 to the flop. Okay.
yep.
Hmm.
So the flop is three of spades, four of diamonds, seven of spades.
So you flop the nut flush draw here.
Yep.
And this is similar to the first hand where I would say that, I mean, I guess it's slightly different because I wouldn't, I don't know how far off small blind is. Let's say the small blind doesn't have 5-6 suited cold calling. I mean, I guess the initial opener could have 5-6. So, maybe if it was like 3-4-6, it would be slightly better. But you really shouldn't see any two pair represented here. You might have some low sets, but at the same time, this is not the same type of board as like 8-9 jack with two spades in this type of spot, which I actually think is a lot worse. So I don't think it's a bad flop for you.
I agree. So small blind checks, low jack checks. And thinking about this, I thought about this spot for a second, and I thought I wanted to have some nut flush draws to check back here, and I decided to put this one in there.
Yeah, I don't. Hmm. Do you have to have some nut flush draws though here to check back? I mean, here's the thing. So any nut flush draw that's not going to be two over cards, and the nut flush draw is going to be a straight draw, right? Ace deuce, ace five, ace six are all going to be combo draws, and then most other. I mean, everything else is two over cards to the board and a flush draw. I realize it's a three bet pot, but there's a lot of your other sort of primary hands that aren't, those ace X wheels are usually gonna be two over cards and a flush draw to somebody having a pair, ace jack suited plus, ace 10 suited plus, something like that. So I'm not sure if I necessarily agree with you on this board there. If you're going to be betting off a lot of your combo nut flush draws, as this is opposed to like if the board was 8-9 jack, right, and you had two spades and you have some ace five of spades, right, you have some ace king of spades.
Yeah, I was thinking like I think both of their ranges are pretty collapsed in that they have like a lot of like eights through jacks represented, and I'm not sure exactly what a bet here with ace my exact hand accomplishes.
Well, I mean, some would say that it's almost it's almost a value bet against two people. You're building a hand, you're building a pot up towards the nuts with a hand with very, very good visibility, and you're also pretty much buying yourself an action on the turn. And what I mean by that is that if you bet and you don't get check raised, the natural course of action is that it's going to check to you on the turn. So if you take a look at that from sort of the flop street, it allows you to really manipulate the turn where you can put a lot of money in, or you start putting money in with what you think is the best hand if you improve, or you take a card, as opposed to checking back where if we get something else here on the turn, then someone's going to lead out. Like, for example, say like you check this back and the turn is a 3. Whereas if you had bet the flop, you're going to get naturally checked to if the turn is a 3. Your hand has so much equity against a bunch of one pair types of holdings. Do you see how I think that that's an advantage?
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. So, okay.
So to the turn, turn is the 8 of clubs.
Now, I would say that's a fairly good example of what I was talking about. I don't think that you would see somebody just donk out if you had bet the flop here on an 8. Maybe you might see it a little bit if like a one-liner came out or something like that. But, I mean, this would tend to be checked to you. So if you had started a bet, then, say you bet and both of them called, or even if one guy called, you'd probably be doing a lot of checking back here, I would think, on the turn. Okay, so 8 of clubs here. 3 of spades, 4 of diamonds, 7 of spades. Turns the 8 of clubs. Okay.
Now the small blind bets out 200, and the low jack calls.
Wow. Okay. Well, I don't think that you really have. I don't think that you're going to do anything here but just call, right? Especially off the low jack stack, right? Because he bets 200 and he's only got 500 behind, right?
Yeah,
The
with
low
my
jack,
exact
excuse me. The low jack has 500 behind. Small blind has 2. Yeah, I mean, I think I would do a lot of calling here.
Yeah. With my exact hand, I don't see a lot of reason, and I get to play this pretty perfectly in position.
So pot's like 970, right? Just hair under 1,000.
Yep.
Okay.
And now the river is the 8 of spades.
So you make the flush.
Yes.
So 3 of spades, 4 of diamonds, 7 of spades, 8 of clubs, 8 of spades. So it pairs the top card. Okay.
And now the small blind bets again for 400.
Small blind bets 400, which is about a little under half the size of the pot. Now remember, the small blind started with 1340, so he has 600 back, right, after this $400 bet.
Yep.
Okay.
And now the low jack does something I wasn't really expecting on his stack size. He just calls.
He just calls and leaves himself like 100 behind.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Let me ask you this question. Let's say the low jack folded.
Yep.
What would you do?
Raise.
Okay.
For sure. Raise all
Yeah,
in.
I mean, I think, yeah. 'Cause, I mean, there's just going to be more. I would say that there's going to be more flushes here from the small blind. I mean, I guess he could cold call with like pocket 7s here. If he doesn't have 7-8, then it's just pocket 7s, pocket 8s, or, maybe if he had one of the small pairs, but that's, again, asking a lot. I don't know if guys are cold calling small pairs in these 3-bet pots. So with the low jack calling with 100 behind, how does that change the way that you think about this?
Yeah, it's hard because obviously the low jack has a hand here, and it's just so weird when he only has like 140 behind. Is he just trying to sucker me into a call behind? And now it feels like both of these guys have a hand now. There's it's just it was hard for me to justify a raise with my exact hand.
Well, I mean, first of all, by the way, I think that Michael and I are really only thinking of 2 options, right? Call or raise. So people in the live chat saying that you can't fold. I don't think Michael's thinking about folding, right?
No, definitely not.
Yeah. I don't think Michael's thinking about folding. Do I give the low jack playing off of an $860 stack at 10-10 the sophistication enough to call? I mean, even if the low jack jammed, though, that's not going to really change anything for you. It doesn't open the rate. It doesn't open the betting up to the small blind, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Right? If he jams to 540, so I don't know how much credence we can really put if we were going to raise the small blind. If the low jack folded, when the low jack calls, I don't know how much credence we can put in that. I mean, maybe if the low jack shipped, we would just call. Man, it's just So what you're saying is because you have the ace and the king, you mean you're a little bit
Yeah,
wary of
exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, I was looking at this and I thought about this spot for a while, which is weird when you're thinking about calling or racing for me. But I
So
felt like if I had like ace five of spades, ace deuce
hmm
of spades, like one
hmm
of these spades that didn't block the king of spades, they have so many more second nut flushes here that I'll get called by. And like when I was looking at those combos, there's just not that many flushes left, it feels like. I know you were talking about that hand with Garrett earlier.
right when he had Jack
But you
10,
were
which
saying
was
that like
inevitably like the lowest possible flush, right? Because
exactly, yeah.
there was a straight flush out there. He had Jack 10 of spades. It was low spades. It was like the 6, the 9, and the 7. It was just the configuration warranted the Jack 10 of spades was literally the lowest flush out there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I'm not
that's
saying this is exact, but there's
right.
so much fewer left when I have the king of spades and the ace of spades as opposed to like a wheel ace.
Yeah, I mean that might be it. It's probably close. I mean that might be a tipping point. But there is Queen Jack of spades, there is Queen 10 of spades, there is Jack 10 of spades, there is Jack 9 of spades. What else do we got? Some other Queen 9 of spades. In a 3-bet pot, and the small blind is the one that's doing a lot of the betting. I still kind of want to jam here. I mean, I think that what you're saying has merit. I think it's close, but I just can't believe that we're losing the low jack. So when you answer that question of you would jam anyways if the low jack didn't call,
Yeah.
I kind of want to jam here. What ended up
Yeah.
happening?
That's a good point. I didn't really think about that because the low jack's not really representing a lot of strength. That I just need to get max value when I'm beating the small blinds.
People are
Yeah,
saying
so
jamming is just donating. And Low Limit says what hands are calling a raise. I mean, I would like to target the small blinds lower flushes here. You also get the extra 100 from the low jack that I think you have beaten, right? When he's just calling with whatever he has. So what if the small blind has a bluff and the low jack has a smaller flush?
yeah,
I'd
there's definitely
almost.
hands to get value from. But
So
I don't know.
what ended up happening?
So here it just calls,
Mm-hmm.
and then the small blind rolls over the jack ten of spades. Now I'm feeling sick, and
Mm-hmm.
now the low jack rolls over ace ace.
Oh no! So you had the best hand.
Yeah.
The low jack has ace ace. What the fuck? Ace ace or 8-8?
No, no, ace ace.
Ace ace. He didn't 4-bet pre.
Yeah, with starting that shallow.
Oh my god, that is just. Would you have gotten called by the small blind? I don't know. I just can't give
So
these guys credit. I don't know. I mean, you would have got called by the low jack, right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So this kind of goes back to a concept you talked about on a few calls. Is that I was looking at the pot size too, and I was
hmm
thinking that if I do raise here, the small blind might just feel pot stuck to call with any value hand.
Well, I mean, when he bets 400 and then the other guy calls, so that's 1770, and then if you call, it's 2170. If he only has 600 back, the pot's going to be like 28-6 for him to call, right? So he's going to be getting like what 4.5 to 1, and it's just like one of these spots where, yeah, I don't know if people can fold there. That is interesting though with Jack 10 of spades because that is kind of one of the lowest flushes he can have here in this particular configuration here too.
Yep.
Yeah, it's an
But like
interesting
you
one.
said, I don't know if we can give them that credit to fold when they're cold calling Jack ten of spades. So,
Well, that's good for us though, right?
yes, correct.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely interesting one. All right, thanks for the call. Appreciate it.